Hi guys, this is Brain Internet, and today we're going to find a way to how to undervolt your GPU. Now, currently I'm using NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2060, and what I want to do is undervolt this GPU. But the question arises, why do I want to undervolt the GPU as it is? So undervolting have some advantages to it. Now if you undervolt your GPU that you are running in the system, you can actually make it more efficient. It will consume less power, it will run a little bit cooler than it has to be. Now for example, this guide is very important for people if your GPU is thermal throttling. So if your GPU thermal throttles, the best way to go is to undervolt the GPU. Now there are two ways to undervolt a GPU. Now first way, I'm going to show you a easy way. Now this is super easy, anyone can do it. What you have to do is take a look at this, install MSI Afterburner software. So after installing MSI Afterburner software, you will see that there is a power limit in here. So now currently it is set to 100. So the thing I recommend is open Furmark GPU stress test. So while you are undervolting your GPU, you can verify the results in real time if you use Furmark GPU stress test. So as you can see, I have set the resolution to 1920 into 1080p 8x MSAA, and I am using a NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2060. Now this graphic card in general, I got it from Gigabyte. Now Gigabyte doesn't properly make the cooler itself. It is a single heat pipe design, and it doesn't cool very properly. So the best way I can get a constant frames per second in games is to undervolt the GPU. One of the drawbacks that I can tell you is that you might lose a little bit of performance in games. Like for example, if you're getting 100 frames per second, you will get 99 to 98 frames per second, but the frame rate will be constant. Your game will not stutter in between the game. Like you have seen that you are playing the game and sometimes it just starts to stutter in between the game, and it is not very playable and good experience, especially when it's thermal throttling at the same time. So what you can do is start GPU stress test, and it will start this test up. As you can see, I have started this test in Windows mode. You do that so that you can minimize it easily. Now what I'm going to do is take this slider all the way to 72%. Now what I have done is limited the card's power to 72%. What this does is actually delivers less power to the GPU. Now as you can see, the power delivery is kind of around 950, 937 or something like that, and you're still getting above than 1680 frames megahertz. As you can see, I might even open the G. Now this is a free software, you can install it yourself. As you can see that the boost clock is 1680. We are still on 1770, so we are actually performing better than the given clock speed. That is a boost clock speed, and we are using around 72% of power. So that is a pretty good thing, that you're consuming less power and you are running it more efficiently. Your electricity bill won't be as much as it used to, and your frame rates will be constant. Now as I mentioned, there are two ways to do things. Now first way is that just simplest way, drag the power limit all the way to left, and it will recognize that it only have to do 70%, 72% of the power, and it will understand that and it will apply it to the voltage. So and your temperature, like as you can see, this card generally runs in 80 degrees Celsius, but currently I have power limited it. I have undervolted this GPU. Now it's running at 64 degrees Celsius. Now it's running really cool. As you can see, there is almost it even goes to 84 degrees, so you can say there is a 20 degree drop in temperature, and the fan speed is around 96%. Now the fans, you can also use undervolting to keep your GPU from making too much noise in the area. I'm not bothered by the noise, but I do like to run my GPU a little bit cool. Now the second way that we were talking about to do these things is like I will show you. Like for example, let me just stop this test for now, as we are going to be applying new settings. Like let me just reset all the settings, and now this thing I generally recommend is enable user defined fan control. What you can do is set the graph as per your need. Like for example, I don't want my GPU hitting 80 degrees Celsius and then ramping up fan to 100%, so I have set this at 65%. As soon as I hit the 65 degrees temperature mark, the fans will start to speed at 100%. Now you can set it accordingly to you. You can start it at 75, at 100%, according to your personal preference, but I generally want my GPU to run it a little bit cooler, so I have set it to 65%. Now what I'm going to do is it can be a little bit tricky, and it will be a little bit scary at first to see how this thing works. Now what I'm going to do is adjust the core clock megahertz. So but as you can see, there is a little bit of icon of signal bars. You can just click it and it will open a voltage frequency curve editor. I know this looks very like a professional thing. You don't want to mess with it. You don't want to break your GPU, but undervolting is really safe. There is nothing you can do to break your CPU by undervolting it. As per Linus Tech Tip mentions, so it is a good thing. Linus hasn't made any new latest video about undervolting, but he does say that undervolting is the safest thing you can do for GPU or CPU. If you have non-K version or K version, so you can adjust that. Now first thing I recommend is uncheck this icon. Now what this does is start and apply the settings you have made here at the startup of your Windows. If you mess things up in like crash things, things will probably work. There won't be any problem with breaking your device, something like that. It will work. But if you keep this thing on, like for example, it crashes in between, it will load it up, back up. You will start Windows, and this will apply these settings again. So if the settings are a little bit problematic, it cause a crash, it will apply these settings again. So I really highly recommend to turn this off while you are adjusting the settings. Once you have adjusted the settings, you can turn this on and it will work properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give me a sec here, -100. So I do this so that the chart kind of goes lower, so I can adjust the value up from here. It's a personal preference. You can also start it from 0 if you want to, but I personally preference is like selecting it to 100. Now you can go really specific. Like for example, I only want my CPU to hit like for example okay, now we are upping it to 1750, as we were going to set it to 1750, and and apply it. As you can see, this is the perfect voltage curve you have set. Like for example, as soon as it goes to 937, it won't go above 1755 megahertz. Well, it will try to maintain this as much as possible. So as we have done this overclock here, and to validate our results, you start a GPU Furmark GPU stress test, and you can see the temperature is little bit rising, but the voltage is constant. It is for the people who are a bit experienced with this undervolting thing, who want to try something new, but you get the concept, right? You can check the maximum number of Celsius by limiting a voltage to certain amount. And if there is not so much need of that voltage, it will just ramp it down. Like currently it is using 887 millivolt, so if you are not using all that much of performance, it will just ramp it down to a lower voltage, and temperature will go down as well. As you can see, it is on idle mode and it has gotten down to 53 degrees Celsius. So I hope I gave you some things to think about in here. And if you have a graphic card that is overheating, or you are really hitting those thermal throttling in your GPU, you can easily apply this fix. Just what you have to do is, like for example, let me just reload this profile, and what all you have to do is adjust the power limit. You adjust the power limit to 73%, and the voltage will adjust itself to max at 73%. Your GPU will run cool, and you will see less frames per second loss in games, and the whole performance of gaming will be consistent, and you don't have to apply as much cooling as well. So these are the features of undervolting. I hope you get it, and you can try it in your GPU as well as CPU as well. I will be making a guide for CPU in a little bit late, after some time. I will be making a CPU guide as well, so stay tuned. If you like this video, like it. If you don't like this video, dislike it, and make sure to subscribe to our channel. This is Brain Internet. Peace out.